Hello, and welcome to Science Magical Worlds. In today's episode, we are going to be going in depth into one of the several creatures that will exist in my worlds, which are dragons. To break down this video in sections, I am going to go over the description of what the dragons look like, their roles in respective environments, as well as ancient dragons. If you have enjoyed any of the colorful worlds I create, please consider casting a spell on that like button, and don't forget to leave the portal open to view these worlds again by subscribing. And if you want to be notified when the portal is active again, please consider turning on notifications. In this video, we're going to be showcasing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War on Nuketown 24/7, and I jumped in. I think it's really good, really fun gameplay that I had that just came out of nowhere. So I was like, hey, why not? So without further ado, let's get into this. So there are going to be 5 different types of elemental dragons. All of them are going to be like an oriental style dragon, so no wings, kind of more of a flowing kind of stance, which is pretty cool. They are going to be blending into respective elements as well as camouflaging into their environment so as not to be seen, because their purpose is not to fight. Their purpose is to maintain the balance throughout their respective elemental typing. So to start off, I am going to go over the volcano dragon, or the dragon of fire. Most of these dragons are going to reside within volcanoes. With them residing in volcanoes, their scales are going to resemble magma, so it's going to be kind of like a black and red and orange, kind of flowing through it. It has cracks throughout it, so it kind of blends in with the magma, depending on where it's at in the magma. So if it's resting on top, it looks a little bit more ashy, with the kind of like how magma is when it's dry, how it kind of has like that red seeping through the cracks. So if it's at the top of the magma, that's what you're going to see. If it's inside the magma, or if it just comes out of the magma, it's going to be a bright orange, kind of like a nail that was dropped into a fire and then plucked out, or a sword as it comes out. These dragons will in fact be able to fire and magma-like substance as defense if needed. Granted, there's not many instances where they actually have used it, so these occurrences are very rare and not really heard of throughout the colorverse. So what's really cool is that the horns that it has on the top of his head are being kind of burnt, which is also another cool thing. And the other thing is its eyes are going to be like a fire emblem, which I got to draw up the emblems for the eyes. That'll be on my Instagram. That's where all the concept art goes, of course. And inside that fire emblem, it's going to be like little fires inside of it, and depending on how hot the fire is will depend on how much the iris's fire is. So it might just cover just the bottom of the iris with fire, which means it's kind of a medium temperature, and the hotter and deeper it gets into the core, the more it's going to be higher up with the fire in the eyes, which is really cool. So their main purpose is to either erupt a volcano or prevent it from erupting, to kind of whether there needs to be more land, less land, so on and so forth. If the air needs, like if you need a quick freeze of the planet, this is what it's going to do: cover the sky in smog, so it blacks out the sun and stuff like that, or whatever the star is. It's going to keep giving heat to the planet, and those are going to be more controlled by the more ancient dragons that live inside the core. The smaller dragons that come out from him will be more in tune with just keeping the volcano peaceful. And the mountains growing, so that the ancient dragons, as they grow, because they're in deep slumber, as they grow, the smaller dragons need to make sure that the volcanoes and the mountains are growing at a consistent pace. So next up are going to be the snow dragons. Now these are going to live in tundras or anything that's pretty much frozen with nothing left in it, except for just snow. Their scales are going to be icy white with basically a blizzard going through it, so they blend in. So if you walk into one of these places in a snowstorm or a blizzard, you're not going to see it at all. Their horns going off the head are going to be ice spikes, or ice spears, I guess you would call it. And they do breathe out an ice attack for defense. They're just icy breath, which is pretty cool. They can cause avalanches if need be. If the snow's not reaching the area that they need to be, and they just want to drop an avalanche because it's faster than just flying down there and freezing everything, they can do that. And they can also defrost the edge of water so that animals can drink, if there are any animals living in that environment, or creatures, I should say. As far as the ancient ones go, the ancient ones for the snow dragons are going to be the ones that are in glaciers, whether that's in the north, south, east, or west of the poles. Not really sure. I have to do that. Right now the dragons haven't been introduced into the story just yet, because the planet that we're on it hasn't a lot's happened to this planet, and that'll be more explained in the second book. Because the second book the second part of the web series is going to be based on all the events that happen in the first 10 episodes. So we'll get to that at some point. So next up are going to be the water dragons. Now these ones are going to live in large lakes, and our more ancient ones are going to live in the oceans deep under the water. These ones are going to be more active dragons, as the lakes and oceans are much bigger in scale than the previous two mentioned dragons. These dragons will be a blue shade depending on size and the depth they travel to in the water, as well as how dirty the water is will gauge on their color and their camouflage of their scales. The water dragon's eye will be a water droplet with water flowing through it that resembles kind of like a current. So you can see the water flowing, which is pretty cool. And these ones will be constantly eating because they're constantly keeping this giant lake or ocean in balance by making sure that no one particular fish gets too out of hand. Inside the as defense in the water, to do this, they're going to quick flash the air around them or change the temperature that stuns the fish, and that's how they're going to eat it. When they're outside of the water, they can shoot. They're capable of shooting out a pressurized water that's able to pierce through solid rocks. So this is a dragon you don't really want to mess with. The next one on my favorite, which is the forest dragons. These dragons are going to live in trees and resemble tree branches. They can speed up the growth of any planet, restore forests that have been burnt down or destroyed from other many different types of events that have happened on the planet, which is pretty cool. And their main purpose is to make sure the air quality on the planet is pure. So the ancient dragons have become giant oaks in times of impure air, whether that's from interactions of the elves or creatures on this planet or anything else of that nature. And they will typically feast on bugs, rodents, as any deer, and predators that may cause a threat to the balance of the forest itself. Their eyes are going to be a forest, with falling leaves flowing through the trees. Now, what's really cool about this is the trees will change depending on the what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, the season. So depending on the season, if it's like a spring or summer, the trees are going to be very open and full of leaves in their thing, and it'll be green. As it turns to fall, the leaves flowing through the irises will change to the orange and yellow of the fall leaves, which is pretty cool. It's actually they're one of my favorite leaves. And then whenever winter hits or the barren season hits, the eyes or the trees on the eyes will actually become bare, and you won't see any leaves at all flowing through it. It'll just be kind of like a wind with the occasional leaf, which is pretty awesome. I do like those. Now, as far as the ancient dragons go, became giant oaks, and these trees are untouched by the seasons because these are going to basically keep the air purity in the planet up and going. So those trees won't change. It will always be a vibrant green. Now, as far as if like any lucicites, leaflets, cloverleaves, if any one of those guys are affecting the planet, they can change the color of the leaves with magic, and that is something that the ancient dragons will allow because it's just changing the color. It doesn't change anything else. It's just to resemble more of the atmosphere that they're in, which is pretty cool. So the next one that's up is going to be the Arcane dragons. Now these ones are the most powerful of all the dragons because they come off of one singular ancient Arcane dragon, and this Arcane dragon actually holds the entire colorverse within its scales. So within its scales, you can see every single multiverse, the multiverse, which I call the colorverse in this series. Every planet, anything that has ever existed will be within this one's scales. So seeing this one is going to be very, very difficult because you have to literally go to the edge of space and beyond that even. So that is why the Arcane dragons are the most powerful ones. Now, it has made smaller dragons that reside within, which is like a branch off. It has created all the other dragons as well, but it has other dragons that have branched off into its own scales to maintain the balance between all of those planets as well as the colorverse itself. So their scales are the most unique because of this, and they will actually have the galaxies that they are destined to create, destroy, and everything in between is going to be in there. Their eyes are going to be nebulas that change in colors very slowly as they move, which is pretty cool. And they're going to eat the antimatter in space as well as any stray asteroids that may threaten the existence of planets that aren't yet to be destroyed. These dragons attack by creating by flying really fast around something, and they actually create a black hole by doing this. And the black hole affects only what they need to affect. It's never, at least there's been no studies or anything research done to show if these dragons actually what's the word I'm looking for? Have if they have actually affected any planets outside of what they need to affect. So, and these ones are very, very powerful because of this. So this is that's me the conclusion of my story. If you have enjoyed the colorful world that I'm creating, please consider casting a spell on the like button, and don't forget to leave the portal open to view these worlds again by subscribing. And if you want to be notified when the portal is active again, please consider turning on notifications. Thanks again for everything you guys have helped me with. Have a great day. Bye.